Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Vegas Showbiz. We are Jessica and Michael Pellegrini, and we are honestly very excited about this video. This is our first Las Vegas restaurant review. And we've already been making videos about Las Vegas shows and concerts, hotel rooms. In all honesty, the restaurants are what we're far more qualified to review anyway. Between the two of us, we've got about 30 years of combined restaurant experience, most of which was kind of more on the high-end, fancier side of dining. We love that stuff. We're even Top Chef super fans. We've never missed a single episode of that show. So now it's our chance to put the judge's hat on. We're gonna talk a little bit about Crossroads Kitchen today. We chose that restaurant for kind of a specific reason, and we're excited to get into it. So for a little bit more about the history of the place, why we chose it, and our initial impressions, then we'll go course by course after that, but our initial impressions, I hand it to Jessica Pellegrini.
Okay, so Crossroads, the newest addition to Resorts World Hotel. We picked it, in all honesty, because it's vegan. We've been on the plant-based diet, if you will, for a couple of years now, and this was a big deal because it was the first vegan fine dining they put an emphasis on to ever come to the Strip. So we were jazzed about that. We visited on the second weekend. I guess real quick before I even get into our visit, Crossroads itself is an LA restaurant. It's become really popular. It's in West Hollywood, I believe. It's on Melrose, yeah. So it's in a really great location. It's become really popular with some big celebs. Oprah has a connection to the chef. Ellen has a connection to the chef. Cool. So it's known for fine dining, vegan, with a Mediterranean feel to it. It's so funny. So our initial impressions. Everyone's been making a big emphasis on fine dining. I didn't feel like it was fine dining. Now, I loved it. The food was awesome. I'm super jazzed about it. But it wasn't fine dining to me.
I agree.
It was casual.
It was like fine casual,
yes,
I would call it.
Fine casual.
Still have tablecloths and stuff like that.
Nice tablecloths, nice atmosphere, but for Vegas standards, it was casual. Yeah.
I mean, you've got a burger restaurant on the front end of the place.
Connected to it.
Yeah, like as part of the same ambiance and atmosphere. And, you know, that I wouldn't call that fine dining, but I don't mean that as a knock. Like, I want this to be accessible. It should be accessible to everybody, and you shouldn't dissuade yourself because it's fine dining.
Right. I am only bringing it up because there's been so much emphasis on it's fine dining. And to me, it just didn't feel that way.
Right.
Now, we had a great experience.
Yes.
We did. It was delicious. I'm super excited. I already know what I want to have next time.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, but for this time. So we started off with...
Yeah, so we started off with where they were fried squash blossoms. And they were stuffed, right? And this is where we were introduced to their ricotta cheese. Now, I made sure, just because I was curious, although we mentioned we vegan, but we started eating cheese again. I'm kind of okay with cheese and eggs here and there, but that's about it. Everything at this restaurant is vegan, 100% plant-based. They kind of downplay it. Like, they don't really want to advertise it because they're afraid it'll scare people away. They're like, no, trust us, this is just really good food. And we were like, oh no, you don't have to worry about us. But it's all vegan, just so you know. When I say ricotta, or I say things that have a non-plant-based meaning, we're talking about the plant version here. Right, for 100%, everything.
Right. But I'm glad that they don't put that too much in your face.
Exactly.
Because I think the majority of their clientele are not vegan.
Right. Yeah. They mentioned that. Yeah.
So we started off with the
we've got the squash blossoms. Yeah, and they were stuffed with their homemade ricotta cheese.
So good.
Yeah.
Came with 4.
Right.
Nice big blossoms.
Yeah.
A really nice tempura, light tempura batter.
Brown.
Nice and crisp on the outside, warm and so creamy and delicious on the inside. I loved those.
I did too. I was like, how can you have something this creamy interior to it that's totally plant-based? It was just
And
wow.
Let's not forget about the dipping sauce. It looked pretty simple, but it was their house-made marinara. God, it was so good.
Yeah. Simple but complex at the same time.
Nice garlicky flavor.
Yeah, bursting with flavor.
So good. So
Absolutely.
Just a simple marinara for dipping, and that one was awesome.
Loved it. Okay, so that was the very first thing that we had. We ended up doing 2 appetizers, and then we shared a couple of entrees as well. So we'll get to our next appetizer next. And that was the exact terminology was, it was a scallop mushroom baked. I'm sorry.
Baked. It was Rockefeller style.
I think it was a Rockefeller. I'm sorry.
Rockefeller style, right?
We're gonna verify on the
I was
thing.
gonna say, I'm looking it up on the fly here. Baked mushroom scallops.
Okay.
So comes out in a really nice, big, round, hot dish.
Yes, and our server recommended getting the side of grilled bread with this.
Sourdough
and that was
bread.
Clutch, because
God,
you need the bread.
The bread was so good.
Yeah.
So good. But so it comes out in this, it looks like a chimichurri, buttery oil. You can't see the scallops, the mushrooms,
Right.
really at all. And it honestly doesn't look super pretty.
Yeah.
It was bursting with flavor.
Yeah, this is the most confusing dish of the night for me, because on the one hand, the flavor was incredible, right?
Really
I mean,
was.
it took it starts off with, it's a garlicky, buttery sort of thing, and certainly we're all familiar with those flavors and like that. But what took it to the next level for me was the amount of spice that it had as well. I love just a touch of spice to kind of round things out, make it more interesting. It totally had that. It had a good spice to it.
Yeah, and remember it also had like a bread crumb, but like a soppy breadcrumb. I don't know.
It was a dip is what I need to say about this,
Right.
because they ran it as a scallop dish, and it wasn't that. And it'd be one thing if it was a big fat scallop like you see on
the
Top Chef or
mushrooms were
something.
quite small.
They were little bay scallops.
And
And
you
again,
couldn't hardly
plant-based,
find
but
them.
yeah, they were barely there. Like, it was kind of dark in there, and I couldn't even tell. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, I got one of those mini scallops. And those were fine, but to brand it as a scallop dish to me was very confusing, because I don't even think it comes with the bread normally. Our
No,
server
that's something to say.
saved us on that.
This would not have been the same dish with a spoon.
Otherwise, it's just a dip that you're just eating.
And it's kind of oily.
Yeah.
And it's, it wouldn't have been the same with a spoon. I think I would have been disappointed.
Exactly,
but
the bread made it into a whole different experience, because it was a dip. It wasn't a seafood dish.
Right. And the bread was
amazing. Yeah, like a
delicious.
grilled sourdough. It was just
Delicious.
perfectly done. So
Right.
Overall, definitely enjoyed it. A little bit of a strange dish to me, just because of the scallop thing not being prominent enough, but the flavors, again, were just incredible.
So we skipped salad course this time.
Yeah, usually we do a Caesar or something.
We had
but-
dinner actually at a late seating for us, so we didn't do our usual courses how we did. But anyway,
Right.
so skip salad this time.
Right.
We did 2 entrees together.
Yes.
A pasta, which
Yes.
was their Tagliatelle Bolognese.
Yes, and the server recommended that. We already had our eye on it anyway. They said it was somewhat of a signature dish of theirs, and we love a good bolognese, and these days plant-based bolognese. I love that, just that flavor profile, so we had to do that.
So I guess we might as well break that one down first.
Sure.
House-made pasta.
Yeah, that's so
Super
clutch.
good.
Yeah.
Super good. Not
Thick, wide noodle, not too thick, but enough that it, it had like it was al dente. You get to the center, it was a little bit softer. Just incredible.
my only, I guess, complaint on that one, I wanted a little bit more sauce. Not even more meat per se, or
just a little bit of a tomatoey part.
yeah, it was good. I just wanted a little bit more sauce.
Yeah, I agree.
But delicious.
Yeah.
Very slightly creamy.
Yeah.
Nice chunks of meat. Good. I liked that one. It
I
was
did
a
too.
great bolognese.
I would totally get that again. Yeah.
And then we also had their
Scallopini Parmesan.
well,
I mean, I've got a backstory on this, just that, forever, before I went plant-based, it was always either veal parm or chicken parm, always for me. If that was on the menu, that's what I was getting. And since going plant-based, it becomes a lot more difficult to do that sort of dish. I found a couple things with eggplant, but we found one other place, a vegan restaurant here in Vegas, and I'm going to say really quickly, the vegan restaurant scene in Vegas is like 2 thumbs up. There are so many options, so many great places to check out. Most of those are not on the Strip, and that's why we got excited about this one. It is on the Strip. It brings that type of dining to the actual Strip. But if you're willing to go outside of the Strip, your options in Vegas for plant-based dining are excellent. That said, we have found one place that does a vegan chicken parm that I very much enjoy. This was better. This was definitely better.
this was the best we've had
Absolutely.
since going plant-based.
Yeah.
Thin.
Very thin scallopini, more like
cutlet,
a
if you
veal
will.
parm. If you like a thin veal scallopini, that's exactly the style of this
A
scallopini.
very, very nice outer crust
Yes.
that was a little crunch to
It
it,
had a
but
crunch,
without
yeah.
being too hard.
Exactly, it was perfect.
A really nice crunch. And then I'm fairly certain it was that same ricotta.
Okay, yeah. This
which
is where
was
it got different for me.
so different, but it just a tiny bit underneath the marinara or over the marinara.
They did a layer of that house-made ricotta under the sauce, and it was the same marinara that you were talking before, really good marinara sauce,
yeah.
but a thin layer of that ricotta under it, and it added this creamy texture that I have never experienced in a Scallopini Parm style dish
There also
before.
was the mozzarella.
It still had the mozzarella, absolutely, good point. Yeah, you gotta, yeah, it was still there, but then in addition to the regular cheese, it had the ricotta, and it was just unbelievable. I'm like, how have I never experienced this? These two
so
things?
good.
Like, how is it taking this long?
Yeah.
So
It's very good.
outstanding.
They had two versions of the dish, right?
The
There
scallopini,
was,
yeah,
the scallopini parmesan is which we had,
Right.
or a milanese.
Okay, yeah, right.
So I kind of want to try the other one.
One thing that I want to call out about this place is I'm usually like the person that figures out what they like at a particular restaurant and gets that all the time, and she's usually not that person. It's one of our differences with dining, but I don't feel that way about this place because I'm just so excited about all the things that are on that menu that even though I loved that scallopini parm, I'm not going to get it next time because there's so many things on that menu that look great. There was pizzas that we haven't even talked about.
They
Really
did
good.
have pizzas.
Pepperoni pizza that looks interesting.
That's not what I'm going for.
I get it, but
yeah.
it's an option, and another reason why it's not fine dining.
Why,
Like, you don't
exactly.
do pizza at fine dining.
No, you don't. So, right, there are other reasons why I don't consider it that, but this is more about the food. The food was outstanding.
And the service was good too. We loved our server.
It didn't feel like they were brand new.
Not at all.
It was a very good night. We didn't have to wait past reservation. We didn't have to wait too long for it. It felt.
It was a smooth ship they were running. Like it was good.
And we notice those kind of things.
Absolutely, we do. We've been there.
We always notice those things.
Yeah, we're a little bit more critical of that sort of thing, but they felt very smooth, like they had been doing this for a while.
Right.
And that was great.
Right. I have heard that the LA is a small plates kind of place. I didn't feel like that with what we ordered. In fact, we usually get more food and we were quite full. So I would say that. I don't know if that's what they're saying about Vegas, but I would not call it small plates.
I think it encourages sharing just because it's not your traditional entree where I've got like my scallopini parm and like a little pasta and a little veg or something.
You're
it's
right.
not like that. It's just a plate of the scallopini parm and then we had another plate of the pasta. So for two people to share it was perfect.
Right, because they do have sides for more a la carte dining, which is fine dining-esque.
Sure.
But our server didn't even really guide us that way. I think she probably knew we were getting enough food. But
yeah, and her recommendations were clutch. I mean, everything
on.
we had were so good.
Very good, very good. But again, super excited to go back.
Yeah,
So,
I would bring family there. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, the fact that it's on the strip is really handy because where are your visitors likely to be? They're probably down in that area. If you want to eat at a place like this, and everybody's going to enjoy it. Doesn't matter if you eat plant-based or not. It's just good food.
Right, and just a side note, we did mention that there was a casual fast
little burger spot,
connected to it. They didn't have a very big menu, burgers and sausages, I think,
house-made sausages. Yeah,
but just to keep in mind.
Yeah, like if you're looking for something quick on the go. I mean, at this point, like there is zero question because Craig's Vegan was already there at Resorts World as well. That's an ice cream place that we love.
Yeah.
That if you're somebody that follows a plant-based diet and you're coming to Las Vegas, you're staying on the strip, there is zero question that Resorts World is number one for your dining needs, right? I don't even know what number two would be.
There isn't another place that's dedicated to that diet. There are a couple places where you can find some things, but we've gone out now several times for dinner on the strip, and it's like we're trying to put together a nice dinner of side dishes and salads.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we had to start loosening our restrictions a little bit.
Right, because that's not what you want when you want a nice dinner.
No, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to piece it together like that. But you go to a place like Crossroads and you're just like, man, anything you want.
Right.
And we didn't even get down. I mean, they had that nice cocktail menu as well, and they had a wine list. I mean, anything that you want out of that dining experience, it can happen.
100%.
Make it what you want it.
So highly recommend.
Yeah, so we've got some
Vegan
more
or not.
photos here. We'll just continue to share the photos. We'll be back, but let us know what you think. Did you enjoy seeing a restaurant review in here? And if so, we'll try to do some more of them. We certainly enjoy the dining stuff. So if you're digging our content, please, one favor to ask if you could subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate it. We're constantly pumping out new material and we'd love to have you along for the ride. All right, hope you enjoyed this one. We will see you in the next one. Bye.